I want these two ladders here to represent, this one here over here is going to represent the things of the world, and this one right here is going to represent the things of God. We all are forced to take a step. We aren't just going to be standing here forever with indecision, wondering what we're going to do. But instead, here's how this happens. On a Friday night, Saturday night, I begin to go out and I begin to have a good time. I begin to go enjoy the things of the world. I begin to go enjoy the pursuits of the world. I begin to go and enjoy all the trappings and the wonderful things that come along with life and friends and relationships and all of those various things. All things that I'm very excited about doing and I'm very proud of doing. But all the while, I'm trying to make sure that I'm doing it in such a way where no one behind me sees what I'm doing. Because the last thing we'd ever want is for somebody over here who's going after the things of God to be able to see me doing the things over here. So I'm very selective in what pictures I post, and I'm very selective on what friends are allowed to see the certain pictures that I post whenever I'm doing things over here. Whenever I'm over here, I begin to pursue the things of the world in such a way where this becomes my identity. How people like me, accept me, how people respond to me, that really determines what I view about myself. And so I am very interested in what those in the world think about what I'm doing, how I look, and what I say. But then church comes around. And this is what we do here in Northeast Houston. We go to church. And so guess what happens? I have the opportunity then to all of a sudden then take a step towards the world. I mean, I go to worship and the worship is great, and I begin to sing and I begin to connect with the Lord in the midst of my worship towards Him. I begin to hear the message and I'm grateful for that. I begin to actually take notes. Like, you realize you can move like 3 steps up if you take notes, all right? And so if you take notes, you can shoot up the ladder, right? And not only taking notes, you begin to go to your small group and you begin to experience some accountability, and you begin to experience some openness and connection, and God begins to move in a pretty significant and a powerful way in your life. And man, you're like, man, this is it. This is what I want to do. And then what happens? All of a sudden you get a text message from a buddy. And that text message, man, it's really funny, all right? It's totally inappropriate. You don't want anybody that's your boss or your parent or anybody else to see it. But my goodness, it's hysterical. Or maybe all of a sudden you get that image. That image is something you probably shouldn't be looking at. It's not something you should be focusing on. And you get that, and then all of a sudden you're thinking, man, this is pretty nice. This is pretty good. I really like this stuff. And then guess what? All of a sudden then you get one of those sermon clips on your social media. Those things are awesome, by the way. All right. And you get one of those sermon clips and it begins to remind you, oh, this is what we talked about on Sunday. And this is what it looked like there. And then all of a sudden you begin to find yourself at a place to where now, look, man, I am really far up here. And here's the problem. I got to make a choice. I can't keep going. At the end of the day, I can't have it both ways. Yet here's the problem. So many of you find yourself wanting to walk up and experience all the beauty and the benefit that comes with the things of God. But here's what I want you to see. You'll never be able to get there with your foot on the world. You're going to have to make a choice. And ultimately, some of you are trying so hard to live in this middle that you're finding yourself now at the place to where, guess what? Got to choose. Am I going to choose the things of the world? And am I going to go there? Because to do so, guess what? I'm fully committed. I've got to go there. Or am I going to go and I'm going to choose the things of God? Some of you are like, this is scaring me to death, right? Can I be honest? It should scare you too. You live your life on this tightrope, somehow thinking that God doesn't see what you're doing. And all along, what God is saying is that, look, I'm just telling you, it's not going to end well. Some's about to come crashing down one way or the other, and I'm asking you to make a choice to be able to choose the right path, knowing that the step towards this is going to lead to life, but the step over there is going to lead to destruction. 1 John chapter 2, verses 16, it says there, for all that is in the world, the desires of the flesh and the desires of the eyes and the pride of life is not from the Father, but is from the world. and the world is passing away along with its desires. This shows us what the two different destinations are. The first thing I want you to see is this: a step towards the world leads to destruction. John goes on to describe the world by using three different descriptions. He says it's the desires of the flesh, the desires of the eyes, and the pride of life.